What's crazy is that usually Wednesdays don't really provide a lot of information on the week for the NFL. Not really much to talk about, except today might be very, very much eventful with all the COVID-19 cases going on, which we'll be getting into later on here in this episode of Time2Football. Glad you guys are joining us. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of this channel. Welcome in to a wonderful Wednesday morning. We've got a lot planned for you guys. Every Wednesday we update you guys on our power rankings, which we'll be showing you guys in here just a bit. But we also want to introduce a new segment since it's around the playoff picture, around playoff time. ESPN has a playoff machine where you get to simulate each matchup coming up between now, week 15, to the end of week 18 to see who gets into the NFL postseason. So we're going to be simulating that for week 15 and let you guys know what the playoff picture looks like after week 15. Glad you guys are joining in on the live chat as well. You guys are going ahead and answering or asking your fantasy football questions as well. I know that during the starts and sits video, I advertised, hey, if you want your fantasy football question answered, come join us during the live shows Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got Cinco 2X coming in. If McKissick is playing, do I sit Gibson for CEH? Hey, that's a really good question. It's a really good question. Now, we saw what happened with Washington where if they're outside of that game script of running the football, playing good defense, if, ish hits the fan, what happens? Like, does Gibson not become like a viable fantasy football player at that point? And it proved last week, yeah, the answer is, okay, you can't rely on Antonio Gibson in that case. So if McKissick plays, or, they do play on Thursday Night Football, so it's going to be kind of early to determine. But, I mean, the Chargers are the Chargers. They're the worst run defense in the NFL, one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. I would play CEH over Gibson regardless. I didn't include him in that start and sit list because I think it was kind of like a given that you want to play him. But, yes, I would play CEH over Gibson. You guys are continuing to flood in with the comments. You got Melee coming in saying morning. Cinco saying good morning. Thanks for all the hard work you do all year. No, dude, thanks to you and your fantasy team. You put in the hard work. Your team, and you're in that playoff position to win a championship, I think. Melee also saying Chubb should go off when most of Cleveland has got COVID-19. Oh, it is not looking pretty. We're going to get into that in just a second. Jeff Field saying, new live stream hype. Make sure to drop some likes, everyone. Yes, absolutely, man. I appreciate you already, promoting this live stream for people that haven't tuned in yet, that don't know how this stream works. But and then you guys are continuing to fill in with more of your fantasy football questions, which I promise I'll get to you guys. But we're going to get through the whole show first, and then we're going to have a segment dedicated 5-10 minutes later on towards the end of the show. So, hey, if you're here just to have your fantasy football question answered, that's okay. Just leave it, and then tune out, tune back in 20 minutes if you want. And then that segment, I'll be able to answer your questions. First, though, we have to get into NFL news and notes that's going around the league for Wednesday. Okay, like I mentioned at the top of the show, not much to really talk about on Wednesdays, but for today, oh my gosh. All right, here's the thing. The biggest thing is COVID that's going on right now. Let me update you guys on people that are on the COVID list and not on the COVID list. So let's talk about some players that were on the COVID list, but then were activated. Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen was activated. He should be good to go after missing last week's game. He should be playing this Thursday against the Chiefs. You've also got Kadarius Toney, who's on that COVID-19 list. I don't know if we mentioned that on yesterday's show, but he's on the COVID list as well. Who's been placed on the COVID list as of today? Well, you still got Jalen Ramsey on that COVID list, but who was placed as of today or yesterday within the last 24 hours since we did a live stream? Odell Beckham Jr. of the LA Rams, which was crazy because he had a great game against the Arizona Cardinals on Monday Night Football, and then Tuesday morning, he got COVID. So it's interesting to note, like, hey, did he have COVID during the game? Was it like a false negative, the test that they did before the game? I don't know. And if he did have COVID and he was in contact with Budda Baker and Isaiah Simmons and the rest of the defensive players on the Arizona Cardinals, man, it's an infestation that's going around the league right now. So Odell Beckham Jr. is one of the latest people to be placed on that COVID-19 list. And a lot of these guys, their status is unknown. Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs has also been placed on the COVID-19 list, and his status, more than likely, I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure that he's not going to be playing, which is a huge boost for the LA Chargers. Now, the Cleveland Browns. Oof. Okay. Here's what's going on with the Browns. They have so many players that have been placed on the COVID-19 list, including Austin Hooper, Jarvis Landry, Jedrick Willis, Wyatt Teller, Tack McKinley, JoJo Natson, and Baker Mayfield have been placed on that COVID-19 list. You've already have David Njoku on that list to begin with, and now you have, I mean, oh my gosh, at this point, it's like 9 or 10 people in that Browns locker room that have been placed on that COVID-19 list. And these are impactful players as well. Like Austin Hooper, stats may not show it, but for the Browns offense, he does his job. And Baker Mayfield, we know he's the quarterback, so he's going to be an impactful player. Tack McKinley as well was actually kind of impactful in that game against the Baltimore Ravens just last week. Jedrick Willis and Wyatt Teller as well. I feel like I'm saying his name. Jedrick Willis. Sorry about that. And Wyatt Teller have been the latest people to be placed on that COVID-19 list. And it's, oh my gosh, man, it is crazy right now for that offensive line. And like, what is going to come about of the offensive line of Nick Chubb, of Kareem Hunt, who's already injured? The Browns are just so freaking depleted at this point. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. Good luck against Green Bay in following week. I think everybody should be back by that game. But this week, I mean, Cleveland should have it pretty rough against the Las Vegas Raiders. But man, I don't know. It's definitely worse. It's gotten worse and worse and worse. So, but to put matters even worse, let me go ahead and pull up who's the interim head coach at this point forward, because Kevin Stefanski has also been placed on that COVID-19 list, and his status is unknown whether he's going to be coaching or not. Now, the latest news that we heard about the interim head coach that's going to be taking over for this game, if it comes down to it, it's going to be special teams coordinator Mike Pfeiffer. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's going to be taking over head coaching duties. Now, here's the thing, though. Kevin Stefanski also had COVID last year and had to miss the playoff game. So, I mean, yeah, bad news for the Browns. Bad news, Browns. Now, some good, encouraging news. Tyler Higbee, encouraging news that will make you mad, actually. Tyler Higbee, so he was placed on the COVID-19 list because he tested positive for COVID-19, didn't play against the Arizona Cardinals, and then a day later, they were like, oh, turns out it was a false positive. Hey, man, you know when people arrest people for something that they didn't do? And then later on, it's like, my bad. Man, I just suffered through this whole I had to be in jail. The same thing with Tyler Higbee. Like the equivalent of Tyler Higbee. The equivalent of having a false positive for Tyler Higbee is equivalent to being in jail, falsely accused of a crime. It is the exact same thing. And missing a game for Tyler Higbee. 100% the exact same thing. But Tyler Higbee did miss that game, and it's just like, my bad. Like, man, come on, dude. You're going to should the NFL be fined in instances like that? You know, I had a question of the day. Let me actually pull up the question of the day. It had let me go ahead and pull this up. How can your favorite team improve? Which players need to be brought in for your favorite team to be improved, and what positions need to be improved as well? That's the question of the day. So leave your comments and leave your opinions and your thoughts in the chat down below. That's the question of the day. But I mean, I just had a new question of the day pull up in my head that I was thinking, like, should the NFL be fined if there's a false positive and a player has to miss a game? It's like, hey man, you're finding players out here. I mean, you messed up. You cost me a game. And if the Rams, what if it was Jalen Ramsey and the Rams lost because DeAndre Hopkins went off? Like, if Jalen Ramsey played on that game and there would have been a high chance that he could have stopped DeAndre Hopkins and they could have won that game, like, should the NFL be at fault? Like, if they have a false positive? I mean, I'll make that the question of the day tomorrow, but like, yeah, leave your thoughts. Like, I mean, it's kind of dumb how that happened. Yeah, but Tyler Higbee, he does not have COVID-19. The Bucs are undecided on Antonio Brown's future with the team. We don't know if he's going to be retained for next season. My thoughts, I don't think he is. Now, he has some off-the-field controversy going on right now, but Antonio Brown has been dealing with an injury right now. He's been placed on injured reserve. We don't know whether he's going to be coming back pretty soon or not. And Bruce Arians has come out and said, listen, even with the injury, even with the off-field issues, like, do we need him at this point? Can he be a factor for us in the offseason and maybe even the playoffs? Do they release him before the playoffs? We don't know yet. So Antonio Brown, his future is undecided, according to Bruce Arians for Tampa Bay. Getting into some practice news that we have, because some people practice on Tuesday now. Okay, we know that Thursday Night Football, those two teams, the Chargers and the Chiefs, practice on Tuesday. But usually the first day back for practice is Wednesday if they're playing on Sunday. Now, we got some Saturday games coming up here today, or here this week, with the Patriots and the Colts playing as well. And then going into some practice news. First, let's start off with some Thursday Night Football news for those players that practice on Tuesday. Jared Cook is dealing with a quad injury, and so does Donald Parham Jr. is dealing with a knee injury. Both of them are limited. Their statuses are unknown for this week. Mike Williams is dealing with a heel injury as well. He's been limited as well. Austin Eckler, ankle injury. He's been limited in practice. However, according to head coach Brandon Staley, it does not seem like it's that serious, and Austin Eckler more than likely will be playing this Thursday. Darren Waller. Okay, so if we want to talk about some players that have been practicing on Tuesday that are playing on Saturday, Darren Waller, let's talk about the Raiders. He's been dealing with this knee today. Now, he has been upgraded from going week to week to day, so his status is trending in the right direction. However, on Tuesday, did not participate in practice with that knee injury. Also dealing with a back issue as well, so they kind of rested him up. His status is unknown for this weekend. Foster Moreau, his backup, abdominal injury. Hassan, English. Limited in practice, and we don't know his status for this Saturday. Daniel Jones, neck injury. He has not been medically cleared to play in Week 15. You can already count him out and say that Mike Glennon is going to be playing in Week 15. Damian Harris has a hamstring injury. He's playing on Saturday against the Colts. He's been limited in practice as well. And then finally, the last little bit of news I have here. Pete Carroll told reporters that Rashad Penny absolutely deserves a shot at being the starting running back. I don't think that was any question after his performance against the Houston Texans. 2 touchdowns, 137 yards, and 16 carries. I don't think that was in question. But for anyone that had any sort of doubts on whether Rashad Penny would take over as the lead back, don't worry about it. He is. And that is your NFL news and notes for today, Wednesday, December 15th. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat as we are joining you guys. We got Caliente Kid coming in. Good morning, my brother. Salute to you and the chat. What defense do you like for Week 16 and 17? I have a bye. Thanks in advance. I went ahead and put up a lot of FAB, free agent budget money, acquisition budget, whatever that acronym is. Free agent Antonio Brown. Get it? Because the Bucs said that they might release him. I picked up the Chiefs. For Week 16. Now, Week 17, I didn't really put a lot of stock into it because there's a lot of good free agent defenses out there that you're just going to have to wait and see. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, let everybody else pick up their defenses. Like, okay, you want to pick up the Seahawks? Sure. They face the Bears or the Lions, whichever one. Oh, you want to pick up the Tennessee Titans? Sure. Pick up the Titans. But you'd be surprised on the amount of teams that have some pretty solid matchups coming up in Week 17. For instance, I think the Browns are one of them. If I'm not mistaken, they face the Steelers, ? So they might be a defense that might be on the waivers that you could pick up. What else do we've got? I don't know off the top of my head the Week 17 schedule. Maybe the Steelers defense against the Browns. I don't think that they play in Week 17. Don't quote me on that again. But, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of teams out there that have some good matchups in Week 17. So you got to prepare for Week 16, right? The Chargers face the Houston Texans, I believe, and the Chiefs face the Pittsburgh Steelers. Those are my top 2 The Seahawks have a good matchup as well. I think it's either against the Bears or the Lions, one of those NFC North teams. And then the Titans. I don't know who they play for sure, but I think they have a good matchup in Week 16. I want to say I'm not positive, but I'm just saying. But yeah, so continue to leave your comments and your questions, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge everyone else that's saying some other comments here. We've got please fire Urban Meyer before he ruins Trevor Lawrence. Jack Mazarik. Yeah. Urban Tradition Meyer has been well past his tenured. By the way, if you saw my hand down here, I was 100% scratching my balls. My dick and balls were itching. But so Urban Tradition Meyer has been under fire a lot with the drama, and we kind of touched up on this in yesterday's show. But yeah, he's we kind of joked too. It was like he took a job because of Trevor Lawrence. That's the only thing. Hey, Urban. Hey, your defense needs some help. No, I get to draft my long-haired prince. Huh? But Urban, your secondary needs some help. And, I mean, the only good defensive players, I mean, you could say that Damian Wilson is coming onto the scene, Josh Allen, but you need some defensive help, my long-haired prince. Urban, we have James Robinson, which you don't like for some reason. You're like Carlos Hyde more. Why are we spending a first-round pick on Travis Etienne when we could draft a good defensive player that's still left on the board? My long-haired prince. Want to make him happy. Yeah, Urban Tradition Meyer is talking to his players like they're kids. I don't like it. Anyways, enough about him. Yeah, Penny, I was successful in getting Rashad Penny melee. Congratulations on that. Do you know any updates on Rams and Darrell Henderson? This is from Cinco2X. Yeah, no. But based off the trends of the NFL and based off the timeline, he was an emergency running back a couple weeks ago. Dropped my phone right there. He was an emergency running back a couple weeks ago, right? And then before this Monday Night Football game, he was placed on the COVID-19 list. He might have played. He might have started. We don't know for sure. We don't know if they were just going to be cautious with him. But with him being placed on the COVID-19 list, health-wise, as far as his quad goes and his thigh, I think he should be fine. However, the COVID-19 list, we still don't know if he's going to be playing or not. Now, he was diagnosed with that COVID-19 diagnosis over the weekend. So that bodes well if he is vaccinated and he can be playing this weekend for the Rams. But I expect him to play. If it gives you a little bit more of a, feel good about it, I think Darrell Henderson is going to be playing. I'm going to get to more of you guys later on, but first I want to get into power rankings for today's show. And what we do is we just show you 25 through 32, stop, talk about it, 17 through 24. We go 8 at a time. We're going to talk about it. So how did the power rankings shift after a crazy Week 14 going into Week 15? So first, let's start off with 25 through 32. What have we got here? Well, if we look at the rankings, no movement at all. You've got the Falcons at 25, Panthers 26, Giants 27, Bears 28, Jets 29, Lions 30, Texans 31, and Jaguars 32. Okay, yeah, no movement at all. I know the Falcons won, but every other team here pretty much did not look good. So it kind of stays the same at that point. Not much to talk about here. Now let's get 17 through 24. This kind of did shift just a bit, not too much, but Washington falls outside of the top 16. You got the Saints at 18, Seahawks 19, Vikings 20, Eagles 21, Raiders 22, Dolphins 23, and the Broncos 24. Okay, so out of these teams, the Broncos won, and then the Vikings won as well against the Pittsburgh Steelers in dominant fashion, so I had to move them up a couple of spots, while the Raiders lost in disappointing fashion. So I had to drop them a couple of spots here. But other than that, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. These teams are kind of on the cusp of maybe missing the postseason. You got the Seahawks trailing the Washington, just one game behind for the NFC wildcard spot, sitting at 5-8. Man, that 7th seed. Ooh, that 7th seed helps out a lot. Now let's look at 9 through 16. These are teams that are in playoff contention. They could be Super Bowl dark horse contenders that we might be sleeping on, but more than likely, these teams, they're in a good standing to make the NFL postseason. Number 9, the Buffalo Bills, 10 Cowboys, 11 Chargers, 12 49ers, 13 Colts, 14 Bengals, 15 Steelers, and 16 the Cleveland Browns. Okay, the Bills, for the first time this season in our power rankings, falls outside of the top 8. This was a long time coming, and then that loss against the Bills kind of solidified it. I mean, it's time at this point to move them outside of it. 7-6, 7-6, and in danger of losing that playoff spot. The Cowboys did win, but they still sit outside of the top 10. I didn't want to put them, or inside of the top 10, barely inside. I didn't want to put them over the Bills just yet. The 49ers are looking good after the Bengals, so I kind of flopped them. The Bengals dropped a couple spots. The 49ers dropped a couple spots. And then the Browns' dominant victory over the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't want to put them over the Steelers inside of the top 15 just yet because the Steelers beat the Browns earlier this season. So, and plus the Browns, they were dealing without Lamar Jackson for the majority of that game. But if they continue to win with that COVID-19 diagnosis, then I can move them up. But let's look at 1 through 8, the top dogs in the NFL. Let's start from number 8, read up to number 1. 8, the Chiefs. 7, Ravens. 6, Rams. 5, Titans. 4, Patriots. 3, Cardinals. 2, Buccaneers, and 1. The Green Bay Packers are now the best team in the NFL. And this is after the loss that the Cardinals suffered against the Rams. And now you would think, okay, maybe the Rams need to move up. Well, look who's ahead of them. The Titans are ahead of them. The Patriots are ahead of them. Those two teams had a bye week, or the Patriots had a bye week. The Titans, they won against the Jaguars, but however, against the Patriots, they lost against the Patriots. So it's like, I can't move the Titans up over the Patriots. I can't move the Rams up over the Titans because the Titans won, so they keep their spot, and also the Titans beat the Rams. So I kind of just kept the order as it is. But the top 3 is the biggest change. I mean, the Packers, the Buccaneers, the Cardinals. That's how it's looking. The Chiefs finally moved back up into the top 8. They were number 2 in the beginning of the season, and then slowly dropped out of the. They were ranked at number 15 at one point, but they've been on the 6-game winning streak, and their defense has a lot to be credited for that. But that's our power rankings. If you think otherwise, if you disagree, agree, leave your thoughts, your comments, your opinions in the chats, and I would love to hear from you guys. Who's your top dog in the NFL? We've got the Green Bay Packers. I'd love to hear your opinions. All right. I think we do have a little bit more time if we want to go ahead and do this for this NFL playoff machine. Okay, this is nifty. And I just discovered this because actually, as a matter of fact, Theo Ash, if you don't know who he is, he's on TikTok. He has a big following on TikTok. He joined us during a stream last week, which you can go back. You can watch a segment on him. Just type in Time2Football with Theo Ash. It'll pop up. He talked about the Carolina Panthers. I was watching one of his podcasts, and then the comments said, hey, you should have a segment dedicated to the ESPN playoff machine. I was like, ESPN playoff machine? What does that mean? What does that mean? And then I dived into it, and I saw like, oh, man, this is an actual thing where you get to predict like, hey, pick who wins these games, and then it just shifts around the playoff picture based off of who's going to win. So I thought, hey, why not just start doing this every week where I just look at the spreads. I look at Vegas. I look at who they predict is going to win each game. And I just kind of simulate each one and then look at the playoff picture after the simulation. So here's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to show you my computer right over here. So let's go ahead and go over here. Now you see, I'm going to put myself in the corner. The playoff picture. This is week 15, okay? So what I mean by this is if I go down here to, for instance, I pick the Chiefs, right? It's going to update the playoff picture down here and move the Kansas City Chiefs up to the first seed since we predicted them to win. But let's say, for instance, the Chargers are going to win at home. Well, then look right over here. We got the Chargers in the lead of the AFC West, and now they're the 3rd seed. So it just changes like that. So again, I'm just going to go through Vegas in the sports book and just see who they're picking to win and just base it off of that. So first, let's start off with the Chiefs and Chargers on Thursday. The favorites are Kansas City, so let's pick Kansas City. Okay, that's going to move Kansas City up to the first seed. Now let's look a little bit down. We've got the Patriots and the Colts here. And then the favorite is going to be really, Really, the favorite right now is Indianapolis to beat the Patriots. I guess since they're at home. I don't make the rules, so let's just go ahead and pick them. How's that swap? Okay, well, let's pick the other Saturday game first, and then let's go ahead and look at the standings. Uh, Between Cleveland and Las Vegas, this might change because of all the COVID-19 diagnosis, but we've got the Cleveland Browns winning. That's what is the favorite to win. So, what happens in that instance? Well, after Thursday, after Saturday, this is what the playoff picture looks like in the AFC because these are three AFC games. You got the Kansas City Chiefs as the first seed. Then the Cleveland Browns sneak in as the number 7th seed temporarily. And if the playoffs were to start right then and there, they would face the Tennessee Titans, who would be the 2nd seed in the NFL playoff picture. That's crazy to think that they could just change like that. I love this program. This is awesome. Anyways, going down to Sunday's slate of games. I'm just reading down the list here. So we've got the Panthers and the Bills. The Bills are heavy favorites by 10.5 points. So we picked them to win. Kind of shifts the AFC playoff picture around. Now they move up over the Cleveland Browns as the 7th seed. Let's go over here to the Jets and Dolphins. -8.5 or -8.5 for the Miami Dolphins. So they're the favorites to win here. They keep their playoff picture alive. If they were to win that, they're still in the hunt, but don't really necessarily make the playoff picture just yet. They're going to have to hope that some teams were to lose, the Buffalo Bills especially. And then going over here to the Washington-Philadelphia game, the Philadelphia Eagles are 4.5 favorites, picking them. The Cowboys and Giants, Cowboys, 10.5 point favorites. Let's go ahead and pick down there. We've got the Titans and the Steelers as well. This game is going to go in the favor of the Tennessee Titans by only 1.5 points. Then you've got the Texans and Jaguars. If you scroll back over here, the Jaguars are actually the favorites in this by 3. All right. We're taking Jacksonville in this one, even though the Houston Texans kind of annihilated them early on in the season. The Cardinals and Lions, 13.5 point favorites, the Arizona Cardinals. We got to go with them. So let's go ahead and look at the playoff picture right now after this top row of games have been decided. Philadelphia would jump into the 7th seed just because they would beat Washington, and that is very important because you got 4 teams sitting at 6 and 7 currently, and that would be huge for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now let's go on over to the late afternoon games. We've got the Bengals and the Broncos playing. You've got Denver being the favorites there. Okay. The Falcons and the 49ers, where are they at? Right over here. The 49ers are the 9-point favorites to win in this game. The Packers and the Ravens, the Packers are favored by 4.5 points. You've got the Seahawks and the Rams. That should be a good one, NFC West battle, but the Rams are the favorites to win in that game. And then let's go to Sunday Night Football here. Saints at Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 11-point favorites. But before we pick them, let's look at what it's looking like. You've got the Packers as the number 1 seed after that loss by the Arizona Cardinals. This is what the NFC picture currently does look like. But let's pick the Buccaneers here, and it kind of switches around right there. You've got the Arizona Cardinals dropping down to the number 3 seed. The Bucs move on up to the 2nd seed. And now Monday Night Football between the Vikings and the Bears. Hey, the Vikings still in it. And they are the favorites to win in this game. So let's go ahead and pick them. Now, if we picked the favorites, if all the favorites were to win, according to Vegas, this is what the NFL playoff picture would look like. You have the Titans coming in as the number 1 seed. Surprisingly, dethroning the Patriots because the Patriots are favored to lose against the Arizona or the Indianapolis Colts, which is kind of surprising to me. But hey, that's what Vegas says. You've got the Chiefs keep on continuing to roll. 7-game win streak going for the Kansas City Chiefs. Expected to beat the Chargers on Thursday Night Football. The Ravens, they drop down to the 7th seed, unfortunately. The Bills, they move on up. And then the Browns, surprisingly, they're outside of the playoff picture right now currently, but if everything goes as planned and they beat the Las Vegas Raiders, which may not happen after COVID-19, but favorites right now, they would move on up to the 4th seed. Now, looking at the NFC playoff picture, the Packers, 1st seed, Buccaneers continue to roll, 11-3 record. They would move on up to the second seed. The Arizona Cardinals does not look good for them. They continue to drop down. The 49ers, they make a statement. They continue to move on up in the playoff picture. Minnesota dethrones Washington, as a matter of fact. They would have the tiebreakers over the other 7-7 teams if they were to win, which projected is going to be Philadelphia Eagles. And then the Rams and the Cowboys, they would be facing the playoff picture started on that day after Week 15. So that's how the playoff picture currently looks like. If everything goes according to plan, if the favorites were to win, tomorrow we're going to come out with our weekly picks like we do every Thursday, and that's who do you guys think is going to win? Who do we believe is going to win? To give you guys a little bit more insight for you guys that do make your predictions, betting against the spread, that kind of sort of thing. So, but yeah, that's the playoff picture. All right, now it is time for viewer questions. What you guys got for me here? I've been answering some throughout the show, and we are answering questions left by the greatest viewers in the world. Aww. Oh, so cute. So cute. What do you got for me? What do you got for me? Tua or Wilson by Danny Diaz. Colts or Chiefs defense by Danny Diaz. Ooh, Danny Diaz. I would go with Tua over Russell Wilson. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to do that great against the LA Rams. And then the Colts or the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Colts. Chiefs D or Dolphins D? I would go with the Dolphins. Chris Jones and COVID will need to pass through the test to play. Yeah. Chauncey TV, I would not go with the Chiefs. I would go with the Dolphins against the New York Jets. Morning, everyone. Morning, Octavio. Really need some help. This is by TB12 Goatman, who's a regular viewer. 2 full PPR, Josh Jacobs, A.J. Dillon, Sony, Chase Edmonds, Jamal Williams, or Rashad Penny. Man, why do you have a lot of options there? Josh Jacobs and Rashad Penny. Unless Darrell Henderson sits out, then it's going to be Sony Michel instead of Rashad Penny. But it would be Josh Jacobs and Rashad Penny for me. Jerry Jeudy or DJ Moore if he plays. DJ Moore for sure. Good day. What are your thoughts on Kendrick Osborne or KJ Osborne or Jacoby Myers for the rest of the playoffs? Thank you. KJ Osborne only has value if or were you talking about Kendrick Bourne? Okay, let me talk about both of them. So KJ Osborne only has value if Adam Thielen were to continue to miss some time. Kendrick Bourne, I do not trust. I'll be honest with you. I don't trust. Jacoby Myers, I don't trust. I'll be honest with you. Let's stop trying to make Jacoby Myers a thing. I get it. PPR. PPR is the only value that he has. And even in PPR, he's a flex at best. At best. It's just not good for Jacoby Myers. Rams D or New England D? By Kells. You can't go against the Patriots. Can't go against the Patriots. They've been red hot. Go with them. Mahomes or Taysom? I'd go Mahomes. I'm kind of weary. I actually didn't want to put Taysom on the must-start list, but then I was like, he hasn't had a game that he started with less than 17 fantasy points. The last 2 weeks, you've been playing with fire if you have Taysom Hill. I started him the last couple of weeks, so I'm in that category. But against the Cowboys, when he threw 4 interceptions, he only had 13 fantasy points. And then he saved his fantasy day with that long touchdown by Deontay Harris. That was more of a credit to Deontay Harris, right? Late in the game. So then you're like, oh my gosh, Taysom Hill's incredible. It was like garbage time, touchdown. It wasn't really him. It was Deontay Harris, like juking and going towards the end zone. And then the following week against the Jets, you were like, why did I start Taysom Hill? And then he had that long touchdown run, and then you were like, oh, okay. And that was late in the game. So you were like, playing with fire. Now, he does have a safe floor. He definitely does. And against the Bucs, they're going to be down by a lot, so you expect him to pass it, you expect him to run it. Sure, he's going to be okay, but I mean, safest choice is Patrick Mahomes. I'd go with Mahomes. Green Bay or New England this week. So Green Bay against the Ravens or New England against the Colts. I'd go New England against the Colts. I The Eagles for week 16, week 17, okay. I mean, they faced Washington in that span. I don't know. I'm like, sure, like last resort, I'd be okay with the Eagles, but I wouldn't really put too much stock in them. Good morning. Would you start Herbert or Hale in Green Bay or Eagles this week? I would start Herbert. Ooh, the Chiefs defense is tough. That's a good question. But I do feel like Hill has a potential to burn you more than Herbert does. So I'd go with Justin Herbert. Green Bay or Eagles this week? I would go, my man, down the route of. I'm not big on either one, to be honest with you. But Green Bay. Carlson or Elliott this week, but it's by Gabriel. Okay, so Carlson faces the Browns and Elliott faces Washington. I would go down the route of. Golly, that's a tough one. Daniel Carlson. Safe. Better safe than sorry. Aloha, Rob. Thanks for joining us. Aaron Jones, Mixon, Gaskin if he starts, Stevenson if Damian Harris is out. Well, the perfect lineup if Gaskin starts and if Harris is out, the perfect lineup would be Joe Mixon, Stevenson, and Gaskin. That would be perfect. Now, if Damian Harris does play, I'd go Aaron Jones over Ramondre Stevenson. But I do have a good feeling that Gaskin is going to play. He was put on that list last Thursday, and he's vaccinated, so he should be activated in time. Terry McLaurin, Deontay Harris, or KJ Osborne, Kells. Not a question. It's a command. But I'll be nice. Osborne. If Adam Thielen misses it, it's Osborne. I didn't know Ramsey had COVID. Metcalf should wake up this week, please. LOL. Well, Cinco, I have a little bit of a good news for you. So the last time the Rams and the Seahawks played, Metcalf actually had 2 touchdowns earlier this season. And it's because Jalen Ramsey has gone away from shadowing certain players, and he just plays one side more so. Kind of like how Richard Sherman did back in the day. And I don't know the reason behind that. I mean, he's talented enough to shadow anyone, but yeah, that's what it's looking like. So that's a little bit of optimism in the side of DK Metcalf. Blurry Face 420, new GTA 5 downloadable content. Hey, wait. Oh, GTA 5. I thought you were talking about GTA 6, dude. We've been waiting 8 years for that. 8 years. Hey, Rockstar. When's GTA 6 dropping? In the span of GTA 6 being developed, we had a whole pandemic happening in this world. Urban Meyer got hired as an NFL head coach, Urban Tradition Meyer. What else happened? The Falcons blew a 28-3 lead. What else happened? Tom Brady won his 72nd Super Bowl. Like GTA 6, where you at? Urban Tradition Meyer cost me a playoff berth because he benched J-Rob, lost by 8. Oh my gosh. And then you do the middle finger emoji. Yeah, stick it to the man. I don't know if I can do the middle finger because it might get me banned. Also, my hot brunette wife's cousin is 14 years old, and I think he watches this show, so I don't want to do anything to. I mean, he probably knows what a middle finger is, but I don't want to upset his parents. So that's yeah. But yeah, Urban Tradition Meyer is the worst. Earthly Links, morning. Fire emoji. Had to go pick up the Browns defense this week and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Hey, good pickup, by the way. Going for the upside. With all the updates from the Chargers, Keenan Allen is looking better and better. Yes, Keenan Allen is looking great. Jared Cook, Donald Parham, they could be missing this game. Mike Williams, heel, could be missing this game. I don't expect it to happen, but they might be limited in some sort of fashion. They're gonna be a little bit banged up. That might hurt their value. So I would go with Keenan Allen for sure. Can we really say that Tyler Higbee is consistent? This is by Earthly Links. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. Okay, so here's the thing. And I'm probably gonna. Get a lot of hate for this. Don't get mad at me. but I almost put Noah Fant as a must-drop last week. He just hasn't been good. And then I looked at the numbers, and I was like, should I put Tyler Higbee or Noah Fant as a must-drop this week? And then I looked at the targets, and I was like, they're both getting like Noah Fant, the last like 4 games has only gotten 4 targets a game. But like, they're both getting who else are going to play at tight end, you know? If you're okay with being consistently average, sure, with Tyler Higbee, but like, oh my gosh, man. Tight ends are just, it sucks out there, man. It sucks. I started the season with, so I wanted to draft TJ Hawkinson in the 5th round. Someone beat me to it, so I ended up drafting Gus Edwards, which I guess it would have been better off if I had TJ Hawkinson. But I'm glad that it worked out because I made a trade. I traded away James Robinson for Mark Andrews and Myles Gaskin. So I got Mark Andrews as my tight end because I had no tight end. I had Jonnu Smith that I was streaming, right? And I'm glad it worked out. But like, if you don't have George Kittle, if you don't have Mark Andrews, if you don't have Travis Kelce, I mean, I don't even think you could say TJ Hawkinson at this point, like, is one of those top tight ends. Like, it's Kittle, Andrews, Kelce in whatever order you want. And then the second tier is Hawkinson and Pitts, which is like, okay, yeah, I could play them. Waller in there as well if he's healthy. And then outside of that, it's bad. Freiermuth as well. I would say he's probably up there. My Colts beating the Pats. Inside Out Media. Yeah, they're the favorite. I don't know if I'd pick them. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But Rob Dale saying Rams beat the Cardinals in Arizona with COVID players and still rank under Cardinals. Yeah, because the Cardinals beat the Rams earlier this season too, so they kind of split 1-1. And the Cardinals' margin of victory was actually bigger than the Rams' margin of victory against the Cardinals. So I'm like, I don't know if I should move the Rams over the Cardinals. Like, I don't want to have recency bias, and let's just wait and see. You know what I'm saying? Would you sit McLaurin for Osborne? Gary Santos. McLaurin, man, has been a little bit of a disappointment, right? Going through concussion protocol as well, so he might just miss this game entirely. But I would. I hate saying that, but I would. Why is Miles Sanders a sit this week? From Antoine Smith. Washington's defense has actually looked pretty freaking good against running backs as of late. So, and this is against Leonard Fournette as well. This was against Ezekiel Elliott as well. So I think against this, not a win streak anymore, but 4 out of the last 5 games, they're 4-1. So they've been looking great against running backs. And the last we heard about Miles Sanders, he was a little bit banged up. I think he should be fine. But Jordan Howard could be coming back. Boston Scott could be coming back as well. So it's, I don't trust Miles Sanders this week. When do you think James Robinson will be a safe start again? He's an amazing player, but Urban Tradition Meyer hasn't been using him properly. He hasn't been using him properly, so I would say just avoid him. He's got great matchups now. Now, here's the thing. I have a bye in my league, right? And one of the guys that's playing this weekend has James Robinson. And they have 2 very good games coming up against the Texans, against the Jets, right? So if Urban Tradition Meyer has some sort of change of heart, and is like, yeah, I want to put in James Robinson, I want to feature him more, and then that gives him momentum to play against the New York Jets, I am hoping that I don't play against a guy that has James Robinson. Because in Week 16, if they turn it around in Week 17 or Week 15 and they finally give the reins to James Robinson, it's like, listen, we've been messing up. Yes, you deserve 15 to 20 carries a game. You deserve it. Go out there. He's going to do well. He is going to do well. And then in Week 16, I can confidently start him. For this week against the Texans, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Urban Tradition Meyer has to have a change of heart. I don't know if it's going to happen. So I'd stay clear of Robinson for now. We are running a little bit late. I'll go ahead and finish it out. I'll just kind of be a little bit quick with it. Ice Cold Jones, James Robinson, Stevenson, or Penny. Scared that Robinson might have a bad game again like the last 2 games. Yeah, don't play Robinson. Stevenson, if Harris plays, would be, or Harris doesn't play, would be your choice. would be your choice. Now, Penny. Penny, I like him. So if it comes down to the route of Damian Harris plays, then I would put in Rashad Penny. But James Robinson, absolutely no. Stevenson would be my number one choice if Damian Harris doesn't play. And if he does, Penny. Taysom could eat again if he does play action. Kamara keeps it up. Who do you recommend, Tua or Taysom Hill? For Mike, dude, I would go Tua, man. I'd go Tua. I really was not that big on. I know Taysom Hill's a must start, but I was not that big on him. And when I say must start, the threshold that I'm looking at is like 17 points minimum. If your quarterback scores 17 points, you're like, okay, that was like a successful start. I would have loved 20. I would have loved 25, but like 17, okay, at least it wasn't like 12. So Taysom, I think he's going to score more so around like that 17 range, maybe around 16. I don't know, but yeah, Tua, he had 17 and a half fantasy points against the New York Jets earlier this season, so I'm liking Tua. Any word on Waller? Nah, just did not practice. Can you help me decide my second string running back, PPR, Clyde or Gaskin? It's Clyde. It's Clyde, my man. Got to go with him against the Chargers. Everyone got hurt, and I'm down to Amir Abdullah McKissick if he plays, and I picked up Craig Reynolds and Justin Jackson. Any advice for my running back, too? Yeah, man, that's tough. That's tough. Your best bet is Amir Abdullah, dude. I hate to say it. I hope you're in a PPR league because Amir Abdullah, I think last week scored... He was if he didn't score double-digit PPR points, he was close. He was close. He didn't have the best game, but like Amir Abdullah, that's your best option. Got to go with it, man. I'd put Knox up there with the top tight ends too. Yes, I forgot about Knox. He has been really solid for the most of the season. Yeah. I agree with you, man. I'd put Knox up there as well. Kells, Damian Harris, I apologize. Okay, let's go back to your question. Okay, Damian Harris. Terry McLaurin, Damian Harris, Osborne. Okay. Damian Harris, if he plays, would be my option. That's who I would choose. All right. As you guys are watching live, we got one more. This will be the last one from Chauncey TV. Pitts or Gesicki, half-point PPR. Thanks. It would be Gesicki for me. As you guys are watching live, that was the last question, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the remainder of this episode of Time to Football. Hey, thanks for joining in on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Leave your thoughts in your comments down below on the playoff machine. Listen, that's some crazy thoughts. That's a pretty cool feature that ESPN has. I'll give ESPN some credit. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Time to Football. Glad you guys were able to join in. And remember, my long-haired prince.